Hi everybody, I'm Julie Noble and I'm here with the City of Kingston, and today we are here to talk about recycling and solid waste. Recycling is when we take something that we would normally throw away and we use it again, or we turn it into something new. So much of the things that we use get thrown into our landfill, and the landfill, the place that is our trash can for all of our stuff, is far away from here and growing into a mountain of trash, polluting our environment. So what we need to do to be friendly to our earth is to take care of our responsibility of, when we're done with something, reusing it, recycling it, gifting it to someone else, or if we have to, throwing it away. So today we're going to understand how solid waste, the waste that we get rid of, works here in the City of Kingston. But first we need to understand how recycling itself works. So I have this really cool display. It shows us the different types of materials that can be recycled. Things like metal, aluminum, and steel, and iron. Those products get melted down and made into new products. If we weren't to recycle them and use old aluminum and steel and iron, we would have to mine it, to dig it from deep in the earth, which is very destructive. Glass can be recycled too. Bottles that were all done, that were done using, can be crushed down and made into new glass. And paper, which comes from trees. By recycling our paper, we have to cut down fewer trees, and those trees are important for habitat, for oxygen, and for our environment and other things. There's aggregates, which is stone and other materials to be recycled, batteries, rubber, textiles, which are things like articles of clothing, wood, and our most important is plastic. Plastic comes from oil, which is taken from deep down in the earth, and so much of what we use in our environment, in our lives, is made of plastic. And that's the most important thing that we're going to talk about today, is how to make sure we use less plastic, and for that we do use, we recycle it. So now let's see how that works. So here in the City of Kingston, we have something called dual stream recycling. I'm going to show you this flyer here. And this is a flyer that tells us all about the things that we can recycle in the different containers that we put out to the side of the curb. Now I'm going to show you what those containers look like. We have one that looks like this. Now, of course, this is a small little version of it, but hopefully you all have one of these that you have at your home or where you live. This is the container with a blue bottom and a yellow top that flips up, and in that container we put our recycling of paper and cardboard. So on this flyer here, all the things that you see on the side. I'm going to show you here on my table the appropriate things that we would recycle in our paper and cardboard recycling. So here what we see are all different things that we would want to put in that tote. I call this a tote because you can tote around different things. So we can put in cardboard, you can flatten it down so that it's nice and flat and doesn't take up a lot of space. You can put in magazines or books as long as they have a soft cover on the top. Here's another book you could put in that recycling. When you're done with toilet paper or paper towels, that tube can go inside, or a cup holder from cups if you went to the coffee store. Egg carton can go in there. Newspaper can go in there, whether it's shiny or not, that's okay. And all these different things, folders and magazines that you're done with, and papers, school homework and papers when you're all done with it, and envelopes and folders, all of those things go into the paper recycling. Now we come by every other week with a large trash truck, and we pick that up. We scoop it up and dump that paper in, and that gets brought to the recycling facility where it gets made into new paper. Now the other container that we have is the blue tote. The blue tote has a blue bottom with a blue top, and all of our plastic, metal, and glass goes into that tote. So let's see what that looks like. Come on down here. Here's my little example of our blue tote, blue bottom and a blue lid. Looks just like that. And these are the things that can go in that tote only. Plastics that look like a jug, just like this, like a yogurt container or a container from wipes. Make sure they're all cleaned out. Plastics that are clear like this, like a water bottle or salad dressing or soap container, or orange juice container. Those can go in there as long as they're all cleaned out. And notice, there's no lid. I took the lid off because those are trash. You can put in containers that are nice and thick like this, as long as they're clean as well. And even chemical containers. But on this one, we've got to make sure we throw away that tie. That's garbage. And on this one, we can put in some metal things. This metal can, once it's done being used, we can use that. The top, that's trash. And here's some other metal things we can put in. Aluminum foil. When we're done using it, if it's nice and clean, ball it up like that. And that goes in recycling. Or a pan. If it's clean, put it right in there. If you have a small can of juice or soup, as long as they're cleaned out, they go right in the blue tote. And glass jars. Make sure they're nice and clean and have no lid. They go in that blue tote as well. That is the only thing that we recycle in our totes. And hopefully at home you have one of these flyers on your refrigerator. You're going to be getting another one soon. And this flyer on the fridge will help you know what you can put in those different totes, and you put them out to the curb. Now, not everything that we use has to be recycled. Some things can be reused. And so if you come down here to this end, sometimes when we buy something, we want to make sure that before we throw it away, we figure out how to use it again and again and again. But there are some things that we literally only use one single time, a single-use item, like a tissue. If I use a tissue, and this time of year, in the winter, and it's coming into the spring, and wherever time of year it is, I have a lot of allergies, so I blow my nose a lot. But you know what? If I were to blow my nose with a tissue like this every single time, I would go through boxes and boxes and boxes of tissues. So you know what I use? The same thing my grandfather used, a handkerchief. And I blow my nose, and then I wipe it up. Maybe I stick it in my pocket, and then I'll wash it at the end of the day, and I can use it again and again. That's reuse. And it saves the trees that would normally be cut down for tissues. There's other things we can do to save trees. Like instead of using a brown paper bag every day for lunch, you could buy a lunch tote and you can reuse it again and again and again and wash it, and it's sturdy, it's got a handle. This one from the Forsyth Nature Center. I love that place. Paper towels, that too. Sometimes I spill things at home and it creates this big mess, and I would use a ton of paper towels. But I could just grab a regular cloth towel and wipe it up. And instead of throwing this away, I could reuse it and save resources, save those trees. And that is the same thing about using like a hot cup for coffee or hot chocolate. If I use a mug, wow, this one's huge. I could fit so much hot chocolate in here. Oh, that would be delicious. And then I wouldn't have to throw away my cup. Or maybe if I was traveling in the car and, maybe I go to Stewart's or Dunkin' Donuts, wherever I go for coffee. Well, if I bring my reusable mug, I don't have any trash. I reuse it again and again, save that energy. Even things like napkins. On my table at home, I just have a cloth napkin for washing my hands so I don't waste all those paper napkins in my house. A little cup. If I were having a sip of a drink, a plastic cup like this can break and flimsy and I throw it away. But a sturdy cup like this, I can reuse it again and again and again and not have any trash. Even things like bowls and plates and even my water bottle, I could reuse over and over by choosing the option that is reusable. And when I go out places and if I want to maybe bring a snack, instead of bringing a little container of a snack like pretzels or chips or something like that, if I want to eat those, I can. But I buy a big container and take a few of them and maybe put it in a reusable jar like this. And then instead of using a throwaway plastic bag and a throwaway little jar, I can buy in bulk a big container and use it again and again and again. And it's easier and it saves more money. And boy, we know we want to have a drink once in a while, right? But those little containers, we have to throw them away. Yes, they're delicious, but this creates so much packaging. And we want to save by reusing containers again and again. So something big like this, I could use a cup, pour it in, and reuse and save energy. Now, those are some suggestions for reuse and saving energy. But there are some things that we just have to throw away. We cannot recycle for lots of different reasons. And everything I have on this table, these are things that have to be thrown in the trash. Here in the city of Kingston, we use a brown trash tote. I wish I had a little one of those to show you, but you all have one outside your home. A brown tote with a flip-up lid. And these are the things that need to go in there. Right in front of me, this big pizza box. When you're done with it, even if it seems clean, it goes in the trash. It has to go in the trash. It cannot go in recycling. That pizza box is garbage. Pots that we have in your garden, maybe the plastic kind, or even this kind like this, they have to go in the trash too. Even though you may want to recycle them, they cannot be recycled. Milk cartons, they've got this shiny wax on the outside. And though they're made of paper on the bottom, they've got this wax, and that means they're trash. And so are those frozen boxes from your freezer. I love cannolis, and I buy this kind. But anything that's frozen from your freezer, like if you were eating Hot Pockets or waffles, or anything that comes in a box that's shiny, that has to go in the trash. Now, we've been eating some takeout since, recently, and sometimes you get takeout in a container. If it comes in a container like this, I like to reuse it. It's nice and sturdy. But if I were done or if it were broken, this has to go in the trash. The lid and the bottom, whether it is this color or this color. These are both containers that have to go in the trash. And so does, if you happen to go to a town that uses styrofoam, the styrofoam has to go into the trash. If you get a container like this is called a clamshell. I'll show you this one. Sometimes I buy berries or salad, and they come in this shell that looks like this, like a clam. That is trash as well. And packaging from toys go in the trash. Light bulbs we can't recycle, those have to go in the trash. This is packaging from some kind of big toy, that goes in the trash. Here's the thing that's sometimes tricky. See here, there's a little triangle on this. And on a lot of our things that we have, that we buy, there's a triangle. And it used to be that we would just look at the triangle and look at the number to understand how to recycle. But now we can't do it that simply anymore. It has to be that the things that I showed you today, those bottles and cans and those paper, that's the only thing we can recycle where we live, in Ulster County. We send all of our recycling to one place, and those are the things that they accept. So don't just think that since there's a triangle on it, it means it's okay to recycle. Make sure you look to that list. And certainly if you have any questions, you can go on our website, or ask your mom and dad, or ask a friend about how they can understand whether it's recycling or not. Boxes like this, even though they're made out of paper, it's waxy, and waxy paper is trash as well. Now, a couple more things here. Things like electronics, batteries, those also have to go into the trash. Now, there are places where you can send certain electronics to recycle them, and we recycle them here in the city of Kingston, but not at the side of the curb in your tote. You need to bring them to the transfer station, where we will take them and we'll bring them to a place where they get recycled. So there are certain things that you could do other things with. Special recycling, like electronics or food. Check this out. It's like a science experiment. This is the food waste from my very own kitchen from the last week. You'll see coffee grinds and orange peels and a tea bag and lots of eggs and avocados. That's a chopstick I put in there, some old Brussels sprouts, old pasta, a banana peel. This is food waste, and I put it in this container, and at the end of the day or the week when the container's full, I take it outside and I put it in a big container out in my yard where I dump it in, add some leaves, and it makes it into compost. Compost is taking old food scraps or things that were once alive, like leaves and branches, mixing them together with soil, and little microorganisms and worms and critters chew them apart to turn them into perfectly good fertilizer that is called compost. So instead of sending all that food waste to the landfill, we turn it back into something we can use. Now our goal today is to understand how we can save energy and save resources. Save energy and resources by reusing, using things again and again. When you can't reuse them, recycle them. Send them to the correct tote where they'll be sent to a factory to be made into something new. Like a soda can like this. if I recycle this, in just 55 days, it will be made into a new soda can and back on the shelves for use again. And all this paper, things that we can save by recycling instead of cutting down more trees. I hope that you learned something today about recycling. You can always check out our website and find more information there, or check out your local recycling center to see what you can do to help to save your environment.